And we are live. Welcome back to the LFC Transfer Room YouTube channel, your hub for everything transfer news in Liverpool related, obviously, because it is LFC Transfer Room. We are joined by two stream debutants today and two Scousers, one living all the way over in Spain. But we'll go to you first, Kris. How are you, mate? Are you good?
I'm not bad. I've just finished a meeting speaking for about an hour and a half in Spanish. So if I trip up once or twice in English, you know why.
Hola, mi amigo. That's all I can go for, mate.
Yeah.
And yeah, some swear words as well. I can train myself on that. We're also joined by Jay. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Not bad at all.
Yeah, so it's a pleasure to have these guys on the channel. You will see a video with Kris in it in the morning, some tactical analysis because he is a coach, so it will be really, really good to start off. But first of all, Jay, we'll start with you. We've got Everton tomorrow, but I want you to look back on the Southampton game. How positive was it to see Liverpool pick up another excellent victory?
It was boss to see us obviously maintain the record of having consecutive games of scoring 2 or more. I love it when we beat little records like that. I think everyone does, but there was parts of the game, to be honest, I didn't think our football was that great at times. But it was just a relief, obviously, to get the 4-0 and get another 3 points. Because Chelsea and City obviously aren't slipping up much at the minute, except for them drawing against United. So we need to pick up as many points as we can.
Yeah, I mean, Kris, there were some absolutely saucy goals scored in that game. One of which being Thiago Alcantara's. I mean, the finish was deflected, yes, but I still think it was going in anyway. But how good was the performance and how good were the goals?
I mean, to be honest with you, I was quite surprised that nobody bothered to close him down. A man of his caliber, you don't close him down, you're going to be punished. And that says a lot about the performance, because I think that Jay's got an amazing point. I don't think that we played incredibly well, but I think that what we're doing at the moment is we're learning how to manage games much better than perhaps we did in, for example, our first season, whereby we were scoring a ton of goals, but the game management was basically next to zero. You had people like Emre Can who couldn't manage a bloody bakery, never mind the midfield for a big team. So saying that, managing a bakery might be difficult. So I mean,
I argue it's more difficult than managing a football game.
Yeah, probably.
No offense to any bakers.
yeah, no offense, lad. First people we've offended. So what I basically wanted to say is that we did play well considering the conditions, because if you think about it, they played with a back 5-4-1, and what we basically managed to do is we've managed to figure out and pick the lock of low block teams, which is saying something, because that always used to be our Achilles heel with the Brexit midfield, and now it just doesn't phase us. If you want to play 5 at the back, don't worry, we will pick that lock sooner or later, which is amazing.
It's just a bit boss, isn't it? I mean, what is it now? 17 games in a row scoring 2 or more goals. Yeah. It is just absolutely ridiculous. Southampton are, not at their best, but I don't think in terms of tactically wise, Kris, how do you think Ralph Hasenhüttl could have changed, or is there anything that he could have done?
No. To put it frankly, no. It's a bit like coming up against Muhammad Ali in his heyday, or Mike Tyson. They're just going to burst through you at one point or another. You're basically hoping someone accidentally low blows you and you can get a red card along the way, At the moment, Liverpool are playing in such a way whereby both defensively going backwards, covering, they're impossible to get behind with Konate and Van Dijk. Konate is a covering absolute monster because he's as fast as the majority of centre forwards. And then going forward with people like Fabinho, Konate, Van Dijk, forward defending is an art that not many people know about, the ability to stop a counter-attack before it happens. We're just monsters at that. We cut the problem before it begins. And you can see the big difference this season to last season when you realise that Henderson was playing centre-back last season. And what happened? Toni Kroos turned on the ball, long ball over the top, right? Things like that really mean that we can dominate teams in ways that quite frankly, we're dominating teams in ways that I've never seen Liverpool dominate teams. It's absolute. It's absolute. So Hassan Hutel started with the wrong formation. He admitted that. Don't care if he'd started with the right formation. They still wouldn't have won.
No, absolutely. I mean, moving on to Everton, Jay. I mean, this is what this stream is all about. We're talking about one of the biggest games in our calendar. When the fixtures come out, we always look to see when the Merseyside derby happens. Jurgen Klopp came out and said he doesn't like the Merseyside derby. What do you think to this? And the way that he's spoken about it? I mean, there has been some terrible injuries going on in it due to Liverpool players being tackled badly by Everton players, shall we say?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's literally what I was going to touch on before you mentioned it. Obviously, Thiago, Van Dijk turned our season last season. It turned it because obviously we missed our main man at the back. Thiago couldn't get a rhythm back until toward the end of the season, when I think he was actually one of our best players toward the end of the season when we started getting results again. But it's not the first time we've had injuries against Armada last year. I remember when Origi picked up his initial injury against Funes Mori. Just before that, Origi was starting to show the potential that he had. There was a run of games, 7 or 8 games, where he looked unplayable. I even remember Klopp saying at the time, we're going to have a lot of fun with him, because he knew he was capable of. So I get why he doesn't want the physical side, but it is a different side now under Rafa, so I don't think he's going to encourage that type of play, because they can't afford to have any suspensions now, the way they're struggling anyway. So if they're missing someone important like Richarlison, who does like to get into it in a derby, doesn't he? He likes to get stuck in and make the odd stupid foul. So it's one of them. Yeah, it's happened in the past, but I don't think Rafa's going to set the team out to do that type of thing. He can't take the risk of a red card right now.
No, I mean, just to backtrack on a point, I mean, talking of players who may be up for a derby, Kris, Anthony commented this, saying, do you think Andy Robertson is back to his best? I mean, he certainly was better against Southampton, probably his best performance of the season so far, but would you still plump for him in the Merseyside derby, or would Kostas Tsimikas get your vote?
I mean, I'd go for Robbo, but it depends what you're playing for, because at the end of the day, Everton aren't playing very well. So if you're going for the long-term option, what you want to do is you want to rest Robbo, because what we want to be doing is coming good come April, when we're basically coming towards the end of the season. So I would personally, if I was a manager, go for Tsimikas, just because it's that long-term vision. Also, we need to remember that players' legs can burn out. And if you are seeing a burnout from a player to continue playing him, Klopp really values his backroom staff, people like Niehaus. There's a really famous fitness coach, I can't remember the name of, a German guy.
Is it Schlumberger, that him? Yeah.
My German's not very good, to be honest. Could be anything. So basically, if he's listening to his backroom staff, which I'm sure he is, they're going to say don't play him, because Robbo fresh for one game is one thing, but if you're just repeating the same game and game, it's not going to work. And whilst we've got the best backup left back in world football at the moment that I know of, I don't see why you wouldn't rotate against the Everton side, who basically look toothless at the moment, unfortunately for them.
I mean, it is. I mean, they were battered by Watford with a YouTuber in goal and their former striker up front, who sorry, Kris.
Yeah, they're just I watched a few of their games just to do the tactical analysis. What Rafa's trying to do is really interesting. It's really good football. Trying to basically do what Guardiola does, where he makes the wingers stay wide, and then the full-backs are coming into these half spaces. And it's a really, really effective tactic, especially with Digne, who can cross a ball. He's got really good end product. But the problem is they've got two central defenders who are really quite rusty, and 2 centre mids who haven't got legs. Honestly, Allen and Decore. Decore's coming back from injury. they look like they're running in treacle against mediocre teams who you just reckon, and let's not talk about their other midfield options who were away for other reasons.
We'll avoid them. But Jay, I mean, is there
the running bakeries? That's what's going
on. Obviously. Is there anything that about Everton that worries you?
I think just being a derby, it's worrying. I know obviously we've got a much better record over the last forever really, since more or less I've been born, but it's a derby. Like, even when we're flying the way we are and Everton is struggling, it doesn't really matter in a derby. I'd never ever say we're going to win this just because, well, for one, the bragging rights at home when you're here. And just like I say, a derby's a derby. They can go anywhere. You've seen it happen many a times in all different types of derbies, not just our one.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris? What do you think?
I've just seen the Christmas tree in the background. Sorry, it's absolutely fresh, by the way.
It didn't have my input.
What was that, Chris?
I was just going to say, Chris, what do you think? Do you think that Klopp's going to try and take the heat out by putting in a few second-team players and trying to reduce the pressure of the fixture?
I mean, this is brilliant. I've never been asked questions before. This is great. He has done that before, hasn't he? I remember he started like Dominic Solanke and Ben Woodburn before. This is what he likes to throw in a surprise. Divock Origi, for example, started in 2019-20. We were like, what? Why is this?
He likes a derby, though, Origi.
He loves a derby. So
he does like a derby.
I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if we may even see Divock Origi against on tomorrow. Like, it might actually happen.
It wouldn't shock me at all.
But no, we'll get on to our sort of predicted lineups. We'll start with you, Chris. I mean, you mentioned Tsimikas. Do you think Jurgen Klopp will do that, or do you think he will stick with Andy Robertson? And what would be the rest of your back four?
No, I think he'll stick with. I think he'll go with Tsimikas, and the reason I think he'll go with Tsimikas is because what Robbo and Tsimikas have to do is basically carry the ball long distances. Trent's not doing that. He's more or less playing a playmaker role, and their job is just to move that ball upfield. You'll see Robertson run about 30 meters, turn around, and then play into midfield. What he's basically doing is moving the entire team up the pitch. It's basically the version of a long ball, but via your left back. It works really well. So I think he'll go Tsimikas. I think he'll go Van Dijk. I think he'll go Matip. And I think he'll go Trent. And the reason I think he'll do that is because Rondon, on his day, this might sound a bit controversial. On his day, Rondon's world class at what he does.
He's a good older player, I know what you mean.
Shithousery, basically.
He's brilliant. His statistics as hold-up player is absolutely immense, if that's what you want to do, of course.
I'm loving to see some Oxlade-Chamberlain love in the comments. Carter loves a bit of... I know Carter's not a massive fan of Hendo, if I remember rightly. And Anthony has joined the Ox Club as well. Should he start, Jay? I mean, he has come out in the media and said that he needs rhythm. Should he play against Everton?
He does, yeah, and it's his longest stint in the team for a while that I can remember getting starts. But I'm not going to lie, I don't see him getting back to the form he was in the year that we lost the Champions League final. He was brilliant in the lead up to that, but he just frustrates me a lot, Ox. I'm not doubting he's got ability and stuff, and I think he probably does need to play every week somewhere, and I don't think he'll ever get that again here, to be honest. I really don't. And there's just certain times I think his decision making is just a bit stupid. And I love him as a person, to be honest, I do. I think he's a great, a boss lad. But it's not about being a boss lad, you need to be a good footballer as well. And I just think, I don't know, he just frustrates me a bit too much, to be honest. And I'd definitely still go with Hendo, Fab and Thiago.
Has Oxlade-Chamberlain not changed your mind with recent performances, Jay?
He has looked better, mate. He has, but like I said, there's always this little niggly thing in the back of me where I think, no, you're doing me head in. It's just certain times I think he'll dribble into space that he shouldn't be dribbling in, or he'll take the shot on when someone's open. I think, do you know what I think it is? a bit like Robbie Keane when he tries too hard, rather than just playing his game naturally. I think if he can do that, then maybe he'll get back to the form he was in when he was looking shit up, really.
Yeah, he was excellent. I think this is a bit of a controversial one. I don't think this is quite up to standard with that one. I do respect the agenda. But Kris, what would your starting midfield be? Would Oxlade-Chamberlain be involved?
I would give Ox a game, and I think I'm a bit with you, Kris. I feel like I know what Jay's talking about. Jay feels like he's that mate he's got who really does his head in and keeps doing the same stuff every weekend, and you're just like, can you stop that, mate?
Yeah.
And if you keep doing that, we're not going to go out together. I'll be mates with you, but we're not going out. And Ox is basically along these lines, whereby I know what Jay's on about. He basically makes the same mistake over and over again, but when Ox is given space, because Fabinho and Thiago are playing and they're controlling everything, and Ox is in the right-hand channel, he's incredibly dangerous. And by having Ox basically bursting forward, they've got to choose. They've got to choose Chamberlain or they've got to choose Trent. And if you leave Trent alone, good luck. And if you leave Chamberlain alone, he can damage you. We've seen him playing some back post balls, really beautiful balls. So I would play Ox. I'd play Thiago and I'd play Henderson. I'd give Faber. I'd give him a rest. I don't think he needs to play. I think we can win it without him.
Without Fab.
This is that going to be the Klopp throw that he's gonna throw the mix in? Who knows? I don't know because he said today that Naby Keita's close. I mean, I don't want to force him back in. I think he needs again. We all know with Naby Keita, he's another one that when he's playing, he's unbelievable. But it's about getting him playing. Oxlade-Chamberlain's been fit for every game in 2021, which is a great stat. I mean, it's not something you ever associate with Oxlade-Chamberlain, but it is that.
Wasn't he fit for the majority of the games towards the end of the year as well, and the last season?
Maybe. I mean, but then as well, like the only reason he's not been available is because of his paternity, which fair enough. But then, yeah, it's a really difficult one. I would probably go Fab, Thiago, Ox. I just think Fabinho's so key, but maybe you know what Jurgen Klopp is like. In terms of a front three, Jay, as I mentioned earlier, we've spoken about Jurgen throwing a cheeky Solanke in on occasion.
That's a three.
I know. Would you think that he might throw another surprise come tomorrow evening?
Well, I'm glad the option to throw Solanke in isn't there anymore. To start with.
He's I think second top scorer in the Championship now.
In the Championship, yeah, not the Premier League.
Got a buyback price as well, 40 million buyback price. Woof,
I somehow don't see a trigger in it, to be honest. I don't know what it is with me bashing players today.
He's just constant.
No, I don't think there's any point in dropping any of the front three if you're not going to continue to give them a run of games, because I think you're just disrupting the flow of the goals we're scoring. I think Jota in that 9, he's been brilliant. Like, he's been such a good signing. Jota, like how direct he is. Obviously, Mo's going to be very unhappy if you don't let him add to the scoring record. And I feel like Mane started to come back into himself a lot more this season, so I wouldn't want to hinder that really.
No, it's certainly an interesting one. I mean, I think I saw that 3 out of the top 4 scorers in the league, which is just ridiculous. And I mean, that's not taking into account that Firmino's only a couple of goals behind them as well, which is just exhilarating, really. I thought Jota was just magnificent the other day. Kris, do you think, Liverpool with Salah and Mane going away for the African Cup of Nations, they're in safe hands with Diogo Jota?
No. It really worries me. It really worries me.
You sounded it.
Yeah. Nothing but honest. I mean, about the Everton game, before we go on to the African nations, I honestly think that both Mane and Salah have got and Jota, all three of them have got a picture of Seamus Coleman on the wall, and they're just licking the lips at the idea of him trying to crack back. Because honest to God, I've seen granddads faster than him. But it's just I was watching the game, like doing the tactics, just sitting there shaking my head, going, "How's Rafa still choosing him?" But that's by the by.
I mean, his other option is John Joe Kenny.
There you go. That's why then. Yeah. Who I'm related to John Joe Kenny, by the way.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm related to John Joe Kenny. Never met the lad, but I am related to him. But yeah, I think that when you see the whole point of the front three is as everybody knows, by having a front three like that, who do you pick up, right? If I pick up him, he's in behind. If Firmino goes deep and the centre back goes with him, Jota goes into the space. So it's an absolute nightmare. And I think we've seen a few times when you try and put, for example, Origi on the wing, it just doesn't look the same. Minamino's a fantastic player, but the chemistry these front players have got is incredible. And as we all know on FIFA, of course, if you remove one player who's not African from that, then the chemistry goes down, of course. So I mean, I'm just worried about that. I think they're going to sign someone in January. I think they're going to try and sign someone. I don't know who. I've got no idea. Maybe. What do you think, Kris? Because you're quite on the transfer with these stuff. You've got a few connections in your back pocket.
Jared Bowen, I would be very much on his train. But purely because he's from my hometown, so I can't. That's my delusional option. But I mean, Diaz has been one that's linked from Porto, but that's £67 million release clause he's got. I wasn't very impressed with him when he came to Anfield either. I don't think you were, Kris, by the look of it.
No, we always get linked with Sporting or Porto players, and I think, to be honest, they just do it because they know that it'll get traction in order to sell them to Tottenham, for example, for exorbitant prices. I think Bowen's got legs, or maybe the Athletic were talking about Rafinha as well.
Maybe not in January, but definitely in the summer. I can definitely see us going for Rafinha in the summer. I think he's almost perfect for Liverpool, especially if Leeds continue to not perform. I think he'll be well out of there. And it might cost us £60 million. But I don't know. What do you reckon, Jay? Do you think we'll go for an attacker in January, or do you think we'll wait until the summer?
Knowing the way we are, I don't see us going on the market January. I think we should. Or I think, to be honest, we probably should have done it in the summer anyway. Because if you lose, well, I know we've lost Bobby now, but if we lost another one in Salah, Jota, or Mane, I don't think the drop-off's good enough in Minamino and Origi. And that's not to say that Minamino isn't a decent player, because most people are going to be a drop-off from Mane, Jota or Salah, but I just think to miss both of them, if they miss the Chelsea and Leicester games, they're massive losses. And I don't care what anyone says, Minamino and Origi aren't on that level for them games. I know obviously Barcelona happened and we had Shaqiri and Origi playing and you didn't expect it, but that was just madness, wasn't it? You know what I mean? They won every 100 years type thing. Now it was crazy. So I don't see us going in the market, but I do wish we had.
Yeah, I mean, we could potentially see a Minamino type signing, I suppose. That's the only thing that I can see is picking up an £8 to £10 million player just to cover it. But moving on, I mean, to the title of this stream and to the thing that has hooked a few people in is, do you think, Jay, and I'll go to you first because I've got a coach underneath me who's probably going to rage at this question. Do you think that if Everton do lose this game, that former Liverpool manager Rafa Benitez would lose his job?
No, I think if you look at what happened with Solskjaer, and he's at a bigger club with Man United where the expectations obviously higher, and he still stuck with him a little bit longer than they did with us. I think it depends. If we beat them 4-5-0 and we're singing Rafa Benitez all the way through it, it's going to be hard to keep him. Do you know what I mean? And it is going to happen if we put 4 past them.
We would sing him. We would.
It's going to happen the whole game. It's going to be Rafa Benitez all night, and there'll be murder outside Anfield, to be honest.
As we say in Liverpool, it's a bit our ass, isn't it?
It is, mate. It is. If it happens, you know what I mean. It's one of them. If they beat us, they're going to love him because they've won at Anfield. Do you know what I mean? So we could go. I think the only way he goes is if we have a little sing along in the cup throughout the whole game and they get beat by 4 or 5, possibly, because they will have defo had enough then. Which, fair play, like that is our last.
I mean, you know, as he mentioned, Kris is a coach, and the shaking of his head was firm, and I could feel it in Wales from the force of the shake of the head. Why wouldn't he, Kris?
Right, I'm going to go into this quickly and make some points. He's been given zero money to spend. He signed Dimitri Gray, who basically came up from under a rock, and Leverkusen didn't want him. Then at the same time, he's inherited a squad who one of the principal players on the most money is Andre Gomez, who quite frankly is awful and has a dodgy knee now. Yet he can't defend to save his life. Calvin Lewis and Richarlison are both injury prone, and Richarlison decides to go to the Olympics because he knows he can't win anything with Everton. He's been given a squad that is absolutely awful. It's awful. I mean, Pickford's in goal, and he plays well for them occasionally, but now and again he just throws it in the goal. And we all know that if you go football manager, if you play football manager and you go Everton, you're in a relegation battle immediately. Why? Because Alex Iwobi does. Can I swear?
You can swear.
Fuck all. Alex Iwobi fuck all. Alex Iwobi doesn't score, doesn't assist, doesn't cross. Alex Iwobi is a useless player. There's a lad in jail. There's a lad who wears nice clothes but never plays in Calvert-Lewin. Tom Davis, what does he do? What does Tom Davis do? I'm watching him as a coach going, Jesus Christ, lads, you've got no identity, you. So this is the problem. They're an absolute lost club. And to blame Rafa Benitez for this, and I've listened to a Blue Nose podcast today, just to listen to their opinions, and they're saying, out of the top 10 problems in our club, Rafa Benitez is 10. He's nowhere near the top. So I don't even think the fans are calling for his head. And yeah, that's my rant over. Sorry, I just as a coach, it just infuriates me because it's not Solskjaer, is he? He's not, he's not bought Jadon Sancho.
He's a European Cup winning coach, at the end of the day. And he should, realistically, Everton should be aiming to be where Newcastle were at the moment, because that is their level.
Yeah.
Under Rafa. Yeah. But in terms of predictions, lads, to wrap up this stream, I mean, I just love the way that I was just like, Kris was just like, can you swear? And oh, no.
Yeah. I went sure, to be fair, and I said shit before. I was like, shit.
Yeah, no. But yeah, so predictions, Jay, going into the game. Goals, score and goal scorers. And what are you thinking, mate?
I think I don't like saying it, to be honest. I never say we'll win a derby, but given the way we're playing and the way they're playing, I'd say 3-0 probably. I fancy José to get one again. And then, I mean, it could be any of the front three. One of them get 2, another get 1. I couldn't say who defo scored. I defo fancy José to get 1. And I hope Salah score. I hope they all get 1 each. The front three get 1 each.
That'd be fantastic.
Sounds like a Christmas. I hope they all score.
Kris,
yeah.
Goals and goal scorers.
I personally think we'll win 4-1 around there. I think they'll score. Because I think that it'll be emotional. I think they'll probably try and score corners because we've been quite weak on corners. So I can imagine Rondon just kicking it against Van Dijk, trying to get a corner. I think 4-1, I think exactly the same as Jay. It's really difficult to predict who's going to score because if one's not there, the other one's there. I think probably Salah will get a couple, Jota will get one, and then Mane will probably get one. Although it depends how Benitez plays. If he plays in a low block, maybe Thiago gets another one and continues his form. But yeah, 4-1, easy game, no problems. At the moment, we just look like we're just Rolls Royce and everything. Honest to God, it's beautiful.
Absolutely, but yeah, I'm going to say my prediction for tomorrow because I will be doing some match content over on Anfield Agenda. And yes, thank you very much, LFC Spectre, for reminding me of this. An absolute LFC legend passed away today after a long battle with Parkinson's. Hope Ray Kennedy, condolences to all of his family and friends. And yeah, you'll never walk alone. But yeah, thank you very much to Jay and to Kris for their first debut streams. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And you will be seeing more of them. You will be seeing more of Kris tomorrow because he is doing a video. Well, there is a video coming out with a tactical analysis on this game, so it's going to be really, really cool. But yeah, we will catch you in the next stream, and we will see you later.